What's his name? What's Spider-Man's name? The one that has no lips. The Black Flamingo. It's Flamingo. Flamingo. Hi, hello friends and strangers. I'm back and I'm here to talk about what I've read for the month of February. So, for the month of February, I think I had a good reading month. Given the things that are happening in my life outside of books, I read more but also less than what I can. For the month of February, I've read a total of 12 books. That includes 3 novellas and 2 graphic novels. So let's dive in. Starting with a series by Ness. It's the Chaos Walking series. This 3 chunky books. There's also 3 novellas that go with the series. And I have my full review and you can access it here. You can watch it here. Generally though, I highly recommend the Chaos Walking series, especially if you're someone looking for a fast-paced and super action-packed series to just get into. I hope you're not gonna get discouraged by how long it is, because like the longest book in the series is Monsters of Men, which is the 3rd book and the final book in the series. It's 600 pages long, but the 1,000 plus pages of the whole series is super worth it, especially if you read it along with an audiobook. It's fantastic. The audiobook is hands down one of the best audiobooks I've listened to so far. And again, you can watch the full-length video of my review, a bit spoilery though, so please tread carefully with my video. There's a movie coming this March, as in this month, and it stars Daisy Ridley, famous for her role in Star Wars. And there's also, what's his name? What's Spider-Man's name? The one that has no lips. I have to Google it. Tom Holland. This March, the Chaos Walking movie is coming out and it stars Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. I'm kinda excited for the movie because, you know, as with us readers, we want to see the books that we read on screen. That is the case sometimes, but of course there's the added anticipation plus the expectation from the movie. And looking at the trailer, I'm kind of lukewarm about it because like the characters are literally 12, 13 years old, and why did they get Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley? I don't know. But I'm still excited for it. You can still pick the series up before the movie comes out, and I promise you it's gonna be worth it. It's a good series. The Black Flamingo. It's Flamingo. Aside from the 6 books in the Chaos Walking series, I've also read The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. I rated this book 5 stars. It's beautiful. So Black Flamingo tells the story of Michelangelo, and who is a biracial gay black teen, and his journey to discovering and accepting who he really is and the things that he could be unapologetically passionate about, like poetry and doing drag. So I listened to the audiobook of Black Flamingo while I was also reading the ebook. The audiobook narration was done by the author and it was so good. It made for a very immersive reading experience, and I highly suggest that you read The Black Flamingo as an audiobook as well. This book is so unapologetically gay, and I'm here for it. I love it. I loved every bit of it. The book is told in verse in the perspective of Michelangelo, again, who is a gay biracial black teen who navigates the world full of joy, disappointments, and so many heartbreaks. Even as a kid, Michael, the main character, already knows that he's gay, and it's kind of refreshing to see how even as a young kid, he already knows who he is, and he is also surrounded by loving people who are just trying to support him and accepting him for who he is. I highly recommend this book as it sends such a powerful message. Never let anyone dictate what you want to do or who you will be, and that you should surround yourself with people who will support you in every endeavor that you're going to take and who will let you spread your wings and fly. The next book that I read for February is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki, and the graphic novel was illustrated by Rosemary Valero O'Connell. I gave this graphic novel 4 stars. And what is it about? It's about being a teenager in love can be a bitch sometimes. Actually, a lot of times. And it follows Freddie Riley, who is in love with her dream girl at school, but the problem is Laura Dean, the girlfriend, keeps breaking up with her and taking her for granted, like a shitty girlfriend that she is. I'm so mad at Laura Dean. Admittedly, it's the amazing art that initially drew me in, but as I read on, the story itself got me invested, as well as in the characters. It strongly tackles what it means to be in a toxic relationship as a teenager. The reading experience was extremely frustrating as an audience because I'm just someone who is looking in, and I was seeing Freddie beat herself up over her shitty girlfriend Laura Dean, and that she's just so blinded with love for Laura Dean that she doesn't realize that she's actually in an abusive relationship wherein she's gaslighted and taken for granted. As time goes on, she is slowly losing her connection with her friends. Her friends can see the obvious truth. This book was raw in a sense that it actually happens in real life. There are a lot of people out there who are struggling in an abusive relationship, and this book sends an amazing message about the power of nurturing old friendships and keeping newfound ones. Before picking this book up, kindly look at the trigger and content warnings for this book. It deals with toxic and abusive relationships, cheating, emotional abuse, and also abortion. Moving on, the next on my list is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I gave this book 4 stars. What is it about? It's about an adorable geek, Chloe Brown, who decided to make changes in her life. That starts with her moving out of her family's house. This was followed by her creating a list of things that are outside of her comfort zone, like riding a motorcycle, going camping, and having meaningless sex with someone. Then, lo and behold, she meets Red, the superintendent in the building where she is living in, who is also attractive and an artist as well. As their paths cross more and more, obviously they fall in love. I gave this book 4 stars, and wow, was that such a steamy book. Like, it's steamy as fuck. This is a kind of book that I would feel kind of embarrassed to read outside. Not because I'm reading a romance book, but more of like if someone looks into what I'm reading and sees the smut scenes there. But you know what? At the same time, they shouldn't be looking at what I'm reading. So anyway, it's something that would make me blush in public because of the smut and the steamy scenes. What makes this book great is the banter and the sarcasm, the brimming sarcasm that Red and Chloe has. It's just so witty and they're so funny in their own ways. It was so refreshing to see such polar opposites be so achingly attracted to each other and be so aware of the other's situation and feelings. I also enjoyed the way that Chloe's chronic illness was handled in the book because of the way that Red was so considerate and understanding of her situation. Although towards the end, I think the last couple of pages, I wasn't a fan of the friction that was between Red and Chloe, and it sort of stemmed from like miscommunication trope of some sort. But again, it happens in real life, and I'm just glad that it was resolved quickly and it wasn't dragged on. If you're looking for a book that will make your cheeks hurt from cheesing so much while also fanning yourself from all the smut scenes, so hurry the fuck up and read this book. The next book is One by One by Ruth Ware. I gave this book 2 stars. First Ruth Ware book that I read was Turn of the Key, and I wasn't a fan of that as well, and One by One just sucks for me. The story is about a tech company goes on a company trip in a snowy, rustic chalet for recreational and mindfulness sake. Then shit goes down as one by one, the co-workers started to die mysteriously. It's a trope that I live for. Like, it's been done so many times. People trapped in just one place and there's a killer on the loose. The mystery part was heightened because of the company being torn into 2. A team of co-workers who want to proceed with the buyout of the company, and there is the other half who wants to make the company go public. Tensions rise and there are different motives. Thoughts about the book, why I gave it 2 stars. It was absolutely disappointing. It had such a promising trope. It had such a promising premise. The book had the classic whodunit type of story. It had so much potential to be a good thriller book, but I guess I was just looking for the usual unreliability of each character and the different motives and the different excuses that they may have. We were just looking at the 2 perspectives. I don't know, I guess it could have been better. I don't know if I would have liked it more if it was told in different perspectives, just to see how they think and just to see the backstory that they have. There was so much build-up for such a lackluster payoff in the end, and I just wasn't a fan. And I'm glad other people like it, but I'm not a fan of One by One. And I don't know if it's just Ruth Ware's writing, or are there really other Ruth Ware books that are good? But I don't know. I'm gonna be a bit skeptical about reading their other books. Next on our list is The 57 Bus by Dashka Slater, and I gave this book 4 stars. So what about an agender teen whose skirt was set on fire by a black teen when they were riding at the 57 bus at the same time. Mind you, this was based on a true story. I have never heard of this news or this story before. It was my first time hearing it. One of the things that I loved about this book is how it was told in prose with a mix of poetry as well. The book started with giving us a backstory for each of the characters, as Richard, who is the black teen, and Sasha, who was the agender teen whose skirt was set on fire. Dashka Slater managed to stitch and shell out a story behind a hate crime that changed both of their lives. So we were given a background on who they are, where they were born, who their parents are, what is it like to live in the community that they were raised in, establishing the fact that they came from very, very different upbringings. Sasha is an agender teen with Asperger's who was raised in a generally accepting and open-minded community. Then on the other hand, Richard is a black teen struggling to take high school seriously while being surrounded by violence, crime, and so much deaths in Oakland, California, which back in 2012 was one of the most dangerous cities in California. I also appreciated the fact that the 57 bus tried to be nuanced and unbiased by providing first-hand accounts from friends and family of both Sasha and Richard. Of course, setting Sasha's skirt on fire has no excuse, even if it was a prank, which Richard, in his defense, was saying that it was a prank. When reading his story, it was said that he was pressured by the friends that were also there in the bus, and that he didn't think that Sasha's skirt would get caught on fire that much. It's inexcusable no matter which angle you decide to look from, but At the same time, wouldn't prosecuting a 16-year-old black teenager in an adult court instead of a juvenile one be counterproductive, considering that the goal that they want for juveniles is to reflect on their actions and have a better life when they get outside? I loved how the book also presented facts, so I'm gonna read a few passages from the book that actually stated facts. And one of the reasons why I liked it, because it was trying to be unbiased by presenting facts to support the defense of Richard, although it wasn't presented in a way that it's trying to validate or make an excuse as to why Richard set Sasha's skirt on fire. Each year, an estimated 250,000 US juveniles are transferred into adult courts. In California, 3/4 of those juveniles are transferred by prosecutors using the discretion given to them by Proposition 21. This discretion has not been evenly applied. A 2012 analysis by California's Department of Justice found that cases against black youths were more than twice as likely to be directly filed in adult court rather than cases against white youths, and cases against Latino youths were more than 6 times as likely. Once they landed in adult court, young black and brown offenders were also much more likely to serve time. Just 1/3 of white youths were sentenced to adult or juvenile state correctional facilities in 2012, while 2/3 were given probation or sentenced to serve time in county jails. For kids of color, the ratios were reversed. 2/3 served time in state facilities, while 1/3 received probation or jail. Nationally, 58% of all incarcerated African American youths are serving their time in adult prisons. One of the quotes here from Richard's mother is, "What he did was a terrible thing. I'm not trying to defend his actions because it was very terrible." Richard was a kid who was capable of making an exceedingly dumb mistake, but one who was also capable of learning from it. It sends such a powerful message on the disparity between how black teenagers and Latinos are treated differently than their white counterparts. Before jumping into this book, please check the trigger and content warnings: transphobia, assault, hate crime, violence, racial profiling, and mentions of suicide. And that's all for the books that I read last February. I won't be putting out a TBR for March because I'm a moody reader who can't commit to the list that I have unless it's picked by my dog and it's for a video. I hope everyone also had a good reading month, and I would like to hear what you read last month, and if you have any suggestions, recommendations, feel free to comment them down below. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you next time. Friends and strangers, bye.